At this dilapidated house, my father pointed my eyes to the left. The house belonged to Ajuana the Rainmaker. He has been missing for 5 years. First, it was his father, Ntanta, the great Rainmaker. He was a double-tongued rainmaker during his time. He was a betrayer too to his fellow rainmakers. Ajuana's father, Ntanta, was very popular and skilled in rainmaking. The popular slogan then was "See Ntanta, see no rain in your ceremony." It means that anyone who settled other rainmakers and excluded Ntanta would be ready to swim under the rain during the ceremony. When his kinsmen and the neighboring community discovered other rainmakers from other communities who were noble and powerful, they began to snub and ignore him. He began to experience low patronage, but Ntanta would not give in. He invoked rain by all means for any family, especially the bereaved, who did not settle him against the rain. He interrupted and spoiled many ceremonies in Ushula and beyond. At a particular time, invoking rains in his house became impossible for him because foreign rainmakers who were invited in his own land to drive away the rain were hindering his operation. Whatever charms he used for the rain were hampered and neutralized by the invasion of the foreign charms. The only way to combat the foreign powers was to be present to the fire where the activities of the foreign rainmakers were being carried out and neutralize it with just a particular green leaf. Ntanta's kinsmen had become like Nza, the little bird, which learns to fly without perching, and Ntanta became the hunter who shot his arrows without targeting. He would disguise himself to any place of ceremony where he was not paid to drive away the rain. He always went with rain leaves. Once he spotted the foreign rainmakers, he moved straight to the place. When Ntanta proceeded to the rainmaker's hedges of fire made on the rainstone, he would plead with them to allow him light his tobacco. Once they permitted him, he would secretly drop the rainmaking leaf in the fire and run back to his house. Although this was not an easy task for him, but he undertook it, knowing fully the risk involved. He also had many agents whom he bribed to carry out this evil and risky task. He had begun to use Ajuana, his son, even at the tender age. Ajuana, on his side, had unscrupulous gang whom he used to drop the neutralizing herbs. We are not surprised. There is this adage that says that the chick that will become a cock will begins from the hatch. It was rumored in Uchula village one particular year that Ntanta bribed a masquerade that came to pay homage in a burial ceremony to help him drop an herb in the fire so that rain will start to fall. Who said it is a taboo for a masquerade to be beaten by the rain? It is now, not then when Ntanta was alive. He was the black ant which did not know visitors. What happened that year was a boomerang. The hair that stares the bees is stung. Before the masquerade were done with the burial rituals, their heavy sack garments were dripping with rains. Yes, this is what goes around comes around. The masquerade was paid to drop a charms in the fire for rain to fall. He did not have a second thought that he would be beaten by the rain. But for Ntanta, he usually ran back to his house when he succeeded because he knew it would begin to rain and he would be sought for by the owners of the ceremony. What he dropped into the fire was the opposite of what those men were brought and paid to do. So, in no time, the cloud will change. It will begin to rain cat and dog. On the day the masquerade was paid to drop herb on the fire, the sky vomited rain. The cloud had turned moody and dark. The wind came from nowhere and blew away every light object at its reach. Powaram! Powaram! That was the thunder, and the rain began. Under the rain, delegates, mostly men, were sent from the deceased family with a keg of palm wine, 2 bars of yam, head of snuff, pork, and good sum of money to go to Ntanta's house to appease him. Boy, 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 anybody at home? The voice of the delegate came calling at the door of Ntanta. The Rainmaker had peeped through his window and saw them from afar, coming to his house with appeasing items. He ran back into his bedroom and feigned sleep. Who want to break down my door? Ntanta back from his bedroom. Dike mmiri, Dike mmiri, meaning the great man of the rain. We are the one, oh, we mean no harm. We came in peace. The elders among the delegates spoke between jamming teeth. They were cold. The rain had beaten them into pulp. He who comes for a visit and ensues for peace, if he returns, he shall know no hunchback. Mpantarua in proverb as he came out. The delegates greeted him one after another when he opened the door. He offered them seats. The men refused to sit by shaking their heads gently. The nature of their visit required no seat or kola nut. Ntanta knew that as well. How could they sit? They were weights to their drosses. He pointed to a corner where they dropped the items they came with. The rainmaker beamed with smiles when a bundle of money was handed over to him. Dike mmiri, the rain is spoiling things for us, the man who offered him the money pleaded. You can see, the toad does not run in the afternoon in vain. Either it is pursuing something or something is pursuing it. Oya go, it has ended. Ntanta bragged in his usual proverb. The delegates returned to the burial ceremony. Amidst the great downpour. But as he had promised, the rain went away. The dark cloud gave way for the sun. That was how Ntanta terrorized and dealt with his kinsmen community and neighboring communities until one fateful night, the creator and maker of the rainmaker called him home. What? Ntanta died. Ntanta's funeral was a bizarre. It is in the saying that the herbalist who inflicts acute diarrhea has forgotten that his own anus is not hanging upward. Since he had made rain to disturb others' funeral, his would not be an exception. The measure you use for your brother is the same measure that will be used against you. Ntanta's corpse lay in state for final rites by his fellow pagans. The rain did not allow anything to be done. It was not the rain alone. He could be buried amidst the great downpour. The rain was hard on the body. It was raining ice and stone. The thunder and lightning were dreadful, and the sound of the thunder was deafening. The storm rescued every standing object until it bent. People who gathered for his burial sought for a hiding place to avoid the dancing trees and leaves falling on their heads. The undertakers kept scooping out flood from the open grave, but the rain filled it the more. This was the third time the grave was evacuated of flood. No one was interested in the music and the feast anymore. The rain had spoiled everything. The struggle then was how to lay Ntanta to the mother earth. But he would not be buried in the flooded grave. The rain had persisted and the day had been far spent. It was just like the day Wokanwa, the childless widow, was buried. She was a poor widow, very poor, and had no one to pay off the rainmakers. On the day of her burial, Ntanta acted what he was known for. He made sure the sky wept water and blood. The poor widow's grave was flooded. But the members of St. Joseph Parish managed to bury Okanwa under the rain. Men and women, old and young, worked tirelessly to see that the flood was drained from the grave. Hastily, the parish priest blessed the grave and ordered them to lay her coffin down the grave. They were drained beyond measure. The cassock of the vicar were dripping with water, but mission accomplished. The church succeeded in Okanwa's burial under the great storm. But the traditionalists could not maneuver their ways under the dreadful storm. If it were the rain alone, they would defile it. After all, rain does no harm to the body. They wouldn't mind to bury him and be beaten by the rain. But the rain kept filling the grave with flood. It has never been told or heard that someone was buried in the flooded grave. So they waited and waited and waited, and now they were running out of patience. Night was fast approaching too. Suddenly, the sky let out a strange lightning and a deafening thunder. The thunder shook the whole places and brought some people on their knees. What followed next was an omen.